Hi there, welcome back. Welcome back to the Breisgau. Now, when I left off last time, I had attempted a IF alignment of the AM, and as somebody pointed out, my negative biasing was a little bit off. I'd put the negative 4.5 volts in the wrong pin of that socket, of that test socket. So I redid the whole thing. Fortunately, where I had connected it, it wasn't doing much. It was basically just biasing the Magic Eye tube, which wasn't even in there. Now, the other thing you might notice is I've put the glass back. And the reason I've done that is I want to do an RF alignment, and for that I need the display. I need to know where the frequencies are. So we're ready for that. And the way I did this is just by gluing it. Not a particularly pro job. It's the best I could do. You can still see the crack marks. Fortunately, the crack had not been across the length of it. So the integrity of the entire glass was still in place. It was 2 bits down here that had broken off, and a small bit in the middle, which is actually hidden by this knob. So it's not too bad. As some of you might know, I've had quite a few problems trying to find a replacement for this, and I really am not sure I want to draw this up on Illustrator or something like that and have it redone. I've done it once before with the brown Atelier. It's a hell of a job, a hell of a job. So I'll leave it now. I'll leave it there for now, and we'll see how we get along. What I want to do now is I want to continue with the alignment. So I've corrected the AM alignment. I've got that curve, that bell curve with a slight dip at the top. I've actually managed to reduce the depth of that dip. So I'm quite happy with that. It took quite a bit of redoing once I realized the biasing was wrong. As it happens, it didn't change much because I was obviously doing this with pretty low signals, so it was probably not affecting the AGC in the first place, but at least I had to do it correctly. Now what I want to do is continue on with the next step, which is I want to adjust the control transformer. In other words, the tuning, the actual automatic tuning. And they've got a description here, which is, I think, practically identical. This is the one from the 125, identical to what I have there in German. The actual numbers of the coils is slightly different. You know, those numbers of that IF transformer at the back. But other than that, let's see what they tell us to do. We are continuing on from here. So I presume that what we're doing is we've got 4.5 volts, negative 4.5 volts on the AGC. So I'm going to put that on. We've also got the signal generator pumping 460 kilohertz into the grid of the ECH81. That's where we basically left off here, and I don't see why we would change that. We've got an audio tone that's superimposed or modulating that carrier, which is a 30% modulation. So far so good, and now we get to this point. And what it tells us to do is it says that's still stuck. We're still supposedly on medium wave. They tell us to leave automatic on now. That's the difference. Remember, we had automatic deactivated. Now we leave automatic on. And what else do they tell us to do? They tell us to connect a 0 center microammeter to the test points M and Y. Now Y is ground, so we're connecting a microammeter to point M on that coil over there. And I've got a 0 center, that Nordmender EN3366 is perfect for that. So I'll show you that in a second. I've connected that. I've got it on milliamps, and I've got it on 1 milliamp for now because I don't know what's going to happen when I switch this thing on. Connect a DC voltmeter with an input impedance of greater than half a megaohm, 30 volts full scale reading to test point P and Y. Now Y again is ground, so it's connected to point P. And for that, I'm going to use little brother over here. And we undertake the alignment at about 12 volts between P and Y. So we need to read about 12 volts on the voltmeter. And then they tell us that the coupling screw, now we are aligning that IF transformer at the back, the one that comes out the back, which again, I'll show you when I'm doing it. But the coupling screw between the two is preset, so do not adjust. And I will not be adjusting that. And then you adjust the primary circuit to maximum on the voltmeter, and then you adjust the secondary with the other coil to 0 at the microammeter. Now I presume this is similar to the FM alignment, the discriminator alignment. That's basically what we're doing here. Where it goes negative or positive, you adjust it to 0, and I'll show you that as well. And repeat 2 and 3 as necessary. So you go backwards and forwards till you get that thing perfectly aligned. And it says that if the control transformer is properly aligned, the control motor must stand still. If now the signal generator is detuned a few kilocycles, plus or minus, the pointer must run to the right or left. So you can actually take that 460, tune it up to 461, and you should see that guy turn. And if you turn it back to 460, down to 459, it should turn the other way. So you can actually drive that motor with the signal from the signal generator. We'll try that as well. And it also says that besides the scale reading of the microammeter should be the same, but opposite if the detuning has the same amount to each side. So what I understand from this is, if I tune it to 462, which is 2 above the center frequency, then I'm going to get a reading of the microammeter one way. And I should then go and the other way at 2 kilohertz below the 460, I should get the same amount, but in the opposite direction. So we'll test that as well. So let me show you how I've connected this up. I've got my minus 4.5 volts coming out of here, and it's going into there with the positive on ground, and it's going to the R connector. I've got the zero center or zero null microammeter over here. It can go down to as low as 0.1 milliamps, so 100 microamps, that should be good enough. And I've got that connected between M and Y as they instruct. And then I'm using little brother as a DC voltmeter, and I've got that connected to ground and to the point that they instruct there, which I believe is P. And I've got the signal generator producing 460 kilohertz, minimum amplitude, going through the switched attenuator, which at the moment is switched to 9 dB attenuation. And I've got that coming into the ECH81's grid. So I think we're ready. I've got medium wave selected, and I've got automatic on. I think we'll just keep an eye on the voltmeter when I switch it on now. I've got a speaker connected, so we should hear it. Let it warm up. Yeah, we can hear it, and it's a negative voltage. Whoa, they want minus 12 volts on there. That's going to be very loud. I don't need the volume because this thing's before the volume control, but what happens if I put off modulation? I see. Our modulation gives us a higher voltage, and I think that's good enough. They don't tell us to put off the modulation, but let's see what happens. What do I need to do to make this thing come up to minus 12? I'm going to remove 6 dB of attenuation. Damn, that's close. That is close. So I've removed 6 dB of attenuation. I've only got 3 dB, and I've got 1.4 millivolts RMS on here, and I've got minus 11.83 volts on the voltmeter. So that's going to stay like that. If I wanted to make it minus 12, I could just, do this. Okay, I'm just going to tell you it's gone to minus 12.59. I'm going to leave it at 1.4. And if I put in modulation, brings that down to 6.2. And if I wanted to get 12 volts, with that on, bloody hell, I'd really have to up this guy. Let's see. Suppose I could. That's 12.29, so that's 11.74. I could leave it there. 11.8. I could leave it like that. I still think it's a hell of a strong signal going in, but if we're following the instructions exactly, that's what they're telling us to do. So now I need to adjust the cores on that IF transformer. Let me see what we have to do there. Now here's that IF transformer, and according to the drawing, the 3 that affect or that we have to adjust for the AM is the bottom 3. It's K33 and 35. That's the adjuster at the bottom, which is actually taped over. Good thing. And then there's this one here nearer the middle is 33, which is the primary, and the secondary is the one down below. And so we adjust the primary for the maximum voltage on the voltmeter, and we adjust the secondary, the one below, for the 0 volts on the microammeter. So let me get that set up so we can see it. Okay, let's go. So we're going to do this one first for maximum voltage on there. Nope, that's going down. It's going up. Down. So we passed the peak. I think that's the peak. That is the peak. We've got it. Now I'll show you the microammeter while I adjust that one down there, because at the moment the microammeter is right in the middle, which is a strange thing. This thing's pretty much slap bang in the middle, but it is reading 1 milliamp. So we'll go to, I had centered it by the way on there, so we'll go to 0.1. Slightly off. Let's see if we can correct that. It's difficult to see. Oh, wrong way. Okay, but it's working. If we go the other way, yeah. Now let's set it in the middle. That is near as damn it, slap bang in the middle. I think we've just adjusted it. Now, let me do that experiment of theirs where they tell us to change the frequency by a couple of kilohertz either way. I'm going to, it's at 460, I'm going to up it to 461. 62. So we're up to, where are we? There's 5, it's up to 7. So it's 460, 459, 458. You see it's actually bending a bit more that way. This should be at 3. So it's not exactly the way it should be, but there we go in the middle. 459, 458, 456, whoops, 457, it's at 2, so 3 below. If I go to 463, it's at 2 point something above, or just under 2 above. So it's not quite balanced. This should go exactly the same that way as it does that way by adjusting that center. Let's see if I... But they do tell us that this thing needs to have very, very good tubes, both the ECL, what is it, the ECL 80 and the EABC 80 should be new tubes, which they're not. So a little bit of imbalance doesn't worry me too much. What I want to do is I want to test that adjustment of the motor. I didn't hear it working, did you? I did not. Let me take off the modulation and see if it affects it. If I adjust that, see it does go more. See, now it's almost balanced. Oh, I can hear it turn. I'll show you in a second. It's turning. All right, let me show you. All right, I think it's good enough. We've got it at 460. I'm going to turn it to 459. It just keeps turning. 458. Okay, now if I go the other way, I must catch it. 457, 58. Now I turn it the other way, it's at 462. 460. This is lovely. I love this. It's 458, so it's looking for a signal or following the signal, following the peak. And if I turn it back, 462, 463, it goes the other way. So back to 460. This thing is doing exactly what it tells us it's supposed to do. So I think our alignment is done. So I do believe we have completed that section of it, which is the AM-IF alignment with those 3 transformers, the AM part of the tuning motor alignment, which is the one at the back. And I'm quite happy with that deviation there. It's very, very minute. The voltage is going up. It's because I had the modulation off. When you put the modulation off, that voltage goes up. So I presume they want us to do the alignment with the modulation on, because all those instructions, if you follow them in order, it doesn't tell you to switch it off. I don't think it'll make any difference, because what you're doing is you're aligning it to the carrier, not to the audio tone. So that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, okay, that part's done. Now I'm going to carry on with the instructions, and they tell us to set the IF trap, and then we've got the oscillator. In other words, we need to do the RF alignment as well. All those alignments are done with the signal coming into the antenna, not into the grid of the ECH81. So I'm going to set that up, and we'll see if we can check the alignment and make any adjustments that this thing requires. Well, I've gone one step further. I've actually tried to do the IF trap, that trap over there which stops 460 kilohertz from entering or exiting the radio. What you do is you actually take the antenna and you feed in 460 kilohertz, which is actually happening right now through the stepped attenuator. And the idea is that you should hear a tone and adjust that one of the coils on the antenna till you get the lowest amplitude, meaning it's acting as a proper trap. What happened is I actually ramped up the level of the signal generator quite high, and I don't hear anything. So the trap is pretty good. So I left it alone. And now we're going to do the next step, which is the RF alignment for the various bands for the AM bands. Now all the adjustments we need for the RF alignment are actually in those 3 gaps you see over there. And it comes with a little cap on top. This one, which I've removed. And we'll follow the instructions, and we've got the indications of which adjustments to make. Those 2 on the right have 2 coils and 2 capacitors. The one in the middle has got 2 coils and 2 capacitors, and the one on the left has only got 2 capacitors, it seems. So we'll follow the instructions and see what they tell us to do. Now I've got the signal generator connected, and there's a modulated signal on there, and according to the instructions you press the K key, which is shortwave. Let's see what else it says. Deactivate the signal's going into the antenna socket. We don't know what level to put it on yet, so it's going through with 9 dB of attenuation. Automatic is off. Now they tell us to set it for 7.1 megahertz. There's actually a difference between the instructions on the 125 and the instructions on the on this one. This one says 7.1 and the 125 says 7.2. So we know there's a slight difference, and you have to adjust L8 and L3 for maximum. Now L8 and L3 are the 2 inductors on that rightmost, that guy over there, okay? So we need to set it to 7.1 megahertz. I've got the volume up. I don't hear anything. I'm going to tune to about 7.1. I hear bugger all. Oh, here we go. It's actually closer to 7 than 7.1. So let's see, is it 7.1? This marking on here is actually 7.2, I'm sure of it. Let me just check on the 125, on the 8. Yeah, it says 7.1, but I'm sure that the marking is at 7.2, so I'm going to put it on 7.2. So 7.2, let's see where this is. It's slightly off. So what I'm going to do is move it to 7.2 exactly. And I'm going to adjust, what do they tell us to adjust first? First the oscillator and then the antenna coil. Just check which one is the oscillator. L8, okay. So it is that guy over there. Okay, I need a different stick. This should do it. That one there. There we go. Whoops, that's a bit loud. That is near as damn it. Okay, that is done, and now I need to do the other one, which is the antenna coil. It's disappeared. See, something's happened on that switch. Okay, I see. That switch needs cleaning. By pushing down on there, I actually deactivated the switch. So let me put the tone off. That's slightly off there. Need to get it back to 7.2. There's my peak, or thereabouts. Let's see where it is. Yeah, that's 7.2. Now the antenna coil. Get the volume slightly down. When you push it down, there we go, there's our peak. All right, switch is still dirty, but as you can see, when I hit it, it's there. Take it away, it's gone. But when I check around 7.2, it's exactly on 7.2, that's my peak. And I need to fix that switch. Okay, no problem. Now the next step is they tell us to go to 15.2, and then we need to adjust the other two. So we'll set the signal generator to 15.2 megahertz, and we'll go up to 15.2. Slightly high, so I need to put it on 15.2, and now we'll adjust those two, which I'm not even sure if these are the caps or not. It's about a peak, and then the antenna circuit is here. That's about a peak. Okay, let's go back to 7.2. Yeah, that's good enough. It's a different level, so obviously this thing has different sensitivity on across the band, which isn't abnormal. Remember, you're going from 7 megahertz, or actually 5 point something megahertz here, all the way up to 18 megahertz. So it is not surprising that this thing has different sensitivities for different parts of the band, especially the shortwave band. All right, let's carry on. I think the next one is the M. Now they tell us to switch on the ferrite antenna, and to do that I've got to do this. In other words, I've got to deactivate the stop at the end. It's actually tuned into something. Put off automatic, put it in a place where I'm not receiving anything. Okay. Switch on the ferrite antenna, couple signal generator loosely to ferrite antenna by means of a ferrite rod or a coil. Press M at 570, so we're going to put this to 570 kilohertz. Adjust L13 and L4, that is on. Okay, so it's the two outer ones as well, because I was reading the instructions for the 125. So we need to couple this differently, and let's see, how do I do that? I've got this coil over here, so I'm just going to couple it to the coil. I don't know what amplitude to use yet. I'll see when I start hearing the signal. I might have to drop or increase the amplitude. So here's our coil. It's sort of in that vicinity. I'm now going to tune to 570. Where's 570? It's on this side. Oh, here it is. Whoa, that gets a bit loud, so I'll just leave it like that. Increase the amplitude if I have to. Okay, we can hear it quite well. But it's not on 570. It's on 560 something. So I'm putting that on 570. And I need to adjust those two outer ones again. So that one. That really doesn't work. I need a longer. I'm just moving it slowly down to 570. There's 570. That seems to be it. There's our peak. Okay, that's 570. Next, they tell us to, at 1520, so we'll go to the signal generator, 1520 kilohertz. Move this across, 1520. Damn, it's slap bang on 1520. Okay, lower the volume a bit. I'm just going to check the antenna circuit because the oscillator is obviously maximum. 17 and 6. Okay, so the one I need to adjust, according to that, is this guy here. Nope. Yeah, that was spot on. Okay, let me go to, what is it, 570 again? Perfect. I can hear it. It's there. Then switch off Farad antenna, connect signal generator through dummy antenna to 570. Okay, so we need to do the same thing again. We need to put that back in the back instead of going into the coil. It's going through the dummy antenna over there, and they tell us to switch off the ferrite antenna, connect signal generator through dummy antenna to antenna socket at 570 and adjust L9. Where's L9? Oh, L9 is that guy over there. Over there, okay. So, where is it? Okay, I've got it on L70, on 570. Now I'm going to peak L9. Yeah, it was pretty much peaked. So we leave it there. What else we need to do? Okay, now press the L key, long wave at 190 kilohertz. At 190 kilohertz, adjust 14 and 6 for maximum. So we got to go to 190 kilohertz. See, what we're getting here is noise greater than the signal. And 190. This thing is slap bang 190. I'm not changing anything on here. Maybe the antenna coil, hang on. This one's only got an adjustment at that point. Let me just make sure this thing is audible. See, that's noise. That's signal amplitude. Okay, and the antenna. That's pretty much not adjusting anything. And now there's no adjustment for the upper level. So it seems we have aligned the RF. Good. So what has this done to our reception? Well, let's see. I've got it on long wave, automatic's off. Now, early afternoon. There's our beacon. That's probably all I'm going to get. Let's try. Maybe we'll get something else. Ah, yeah. Something from in French. There seems to be another beacon there. Okay, medium wave. Now listen to this. This is Canary Islands, and things on the workshop speaker, which is a bit high, but the quality of this thing is incredible. All these will be Canary Islands. There's a Portuguese station here, the only one we've got, which is about here. Yeah. Now in the evening this thing fills up, but during the day this is what we get. So the AM is, or rather the medium wave is bloody fantastic. What do we have on this guy? This switch, I need to clean it. As you can see, this is the problem I was having there. This is 18 megahertz.
طيب الكرسي لو تحدثتم عن القرآن وفضله في شهر
16 meter band.
لا في فروق لأنكم خيار خلق الله. الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول خيركم من تعلم.
Down to the 90-meter band. "25-meter band, obviously down here we get less, or we'll get more later tonight. But that's just to give an idea. This thing is actually doing its job. Which means that our AM alignment is complete. Now, what do I mean by that? It means that I've done the AM IF alignment for 460 kilohertz. That is done. I've done the alignment of the tuning motor using that IF transformer at the back there, that sort of discriminator version. That's done for the AM as well. I've done the RF alignment for the AM so that when you tune on the dial, it corresponds to the frequency you're tuning to. That's actually pretty accurate on this one. Just by the way, you know, I aligned this at 190 kilohertz on the long wave. I did check on 300 and it's spot on, even though we don't have a top end adjustment on this particular radio. Some of them do. So we've done basically all the alignment that relates to the AM bands. Okay? So that leaves us with one more task. And the task we're left with really is the alignment of the FM band. Now the FM band is one band whereas these were three, but the FM is a little bit more finicky, and I have to just take a pause now. We'll end the video now because I'm going to again do some research, make sure I've got my thinking cap on straight and all the information up to date on the FM section of this. So I'll then come back with a video where I'll probably do the entire FM alignment in one go. But for now, I'm going to thank you for your patience and your attention. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've learned something. I always do. Hope and learn. And I'll see you back soon for another video. So once again, if you enjoyed this, click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And thanks for watching. Bye for now and stay safe.